Brad, just what do you think of those calls, those offensive foul calls that Marcus Smart drew on James Harden?
I haven't rewatched them yet. Obviously, I didn't have a great angle for it, standing on the other end of the court. But you know, it looked to me like he held his ground, and then you know, obviously we were playing pretty well up to that point, scoring and cutting it to one, playing the foul game. They had hit their free throws, and so obviously getting the ball back without them shooting free throws was a big deal.
Coach, down by such a large margin, what were a couple of the things that you were thinking that you needed to do to get back into the game, and who were they to do it?
You know, I thought that, and I said this in the locker room, I thought even though he did some things that I'm sure he'd like to have back, I thought Nader came in and gave us a great energy lift. I didn't think we looked like we were matching their level in the first half, and that's why we started him in the second. And even though he missed a couple of shots in the second, he got some boards back. He was active, and it kind of got us started. Once we settled down and started making some of those shots, you felt like you were going to be able to get back in the game. But I thought we played great in the first 6 minutes of the second half. We just didn't hit a shot. But again, I think we needed everybody. You know, after a stretch like this, you need somebody that hasn't played a lot to play, especially with guys out, and to give you a little bit of a lift. And I guess the hole wasn't quite big and too big. Sure felt that way.
Brad, just the defense in the second half, they shot, I think, something like 25%. What was the biggest key for the turnaround there, did you feel like?
Well, first of all, they were unbelievable in the first half, and it's hard to play from ahead, and it's easy to play free from behind. That's why you see this in the NBA all the time. But I thought we really guarded. We made shots as tough as possible, and then in the one or two circumstances, whether it was off of loose balls, offensive rebounds, kickouts, where they were wide open, the shots had a little bit more heat on them, because you had felt the pressure the whole half, instead of you're just playing free and easy, which they were in the first. They had us on our heels. We tried to be more aggressive defensively. I thought Marcus was the key to that, kind of the head of that attack, but everybody added to it.
Brad, Terry and Baines only played like 5 minutes in the first half each, but came in and had some pretty significant contributions in the second. What went into that thinking with them in the second?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty hard to play Houston with traditional lineups, and but we were also down a few wings, so we were trying to buy a little bit of time doing that. Clearly, that wasn't going to work 3 minutes into the game, and so it was one of those games where Baines is not going to play as much, and Baines didn't pout. He sat for 21 straight minutes in the first half and sat for the first 8 or whatever of the second. And then he came in and I thought changed the paint for us. I thought he protected everything around the rim. He was tremendous. Got that huge putback off the offensive rebound, and says a lot about him. And then, Terry's one of these guys that, he didn't have his best half, but he's always able to go to a level.
Brad, what did you say to the guys at halftime?
Go get them. We drew up some stuff. I mean, we didn't watch anything. We talked about it, drew a couple things up on the board, and said, there's a reason why Houston's hard to guard. You have to play with incredible multiple efforts, and we didn't. So, there's a lot of excuses that this group could have made, but they didn't, to their credit, and that's probably the most encouraging thing about tonight. The result doesn't really matter. It's the resilience that they showed, which they could have easily folded.
I mean, I know it means it's one of 82, but like you just mentioned, the psychological impact of a game like this, does this have long-term effects maybe?
I guess it does on me, just from the standpoint of, like, you learn something about your group every time you take the floor. We've been down before, but we hadn't been dominated like that and down, and come back and won. So that was, it was encouraging to see again guys stay poised but get pissed, and I think that's something that you want to see out of your team, and those are good qualities to have.
Marcus Morris seemed to play pretty pissed in the third quarter. I mean, how important was it to just, on a young team, have that veteran that's just going to be relentless and just fight through guys' chests as much as possible?
Yeah, he's in a tough spot because of the, he's coming off that injury, and he's really, the minute limitation thing is really hard because it's hard to gain a rhythm. Instead of playing him in 4 stints, we just said we're going to play him in 2 stints, let him get a rhythm, let him wear himself out, and go from there. But in that second half stint, yeah, that's the guy we need. Like we need him to be a really valuable scorer for us, and able to sit down in the stance and guard the way he did. I thought him on Harden, he bought us some possessions guarding Harden, and that's not easy. And then I thought he really went in and fought for balls.
Brad, the 2 inbounds before the offensive fouls that drew timeouts from the Rockets, and then you had the steal by Rozier against the Pacers. I mean, it's kind of like seeing believing, where they know if they put that effort in that they can create those turnovers or force those timeouts.
Well, you're in it till till the final horn sounds, and I thought we really played with great poise, in getting those quick 2s instead of trying to jack a 3 that may have been a really bad shot. One by Smart on the drive, Tatum then got to the rim and dunked it with 8 seconds or whatever. And then Al, good poise to just kind of take your time, recognize you've got a little bit of time, and score the ball. The only time I was, really on edge was when that ball dropped out of Al's hands at the end and Eric Gordon picked it up. So I was like, that was all for naught if he makes that 75-footer. And I've watched Eric Gordon since he was a kid, and I've seen him do some things. So I was glad that didn't go in.